To know where to come back to.
But why?
In case you have to retreat, if you're going somewhere, in case you...
Maybe if you're going to retrograde. You want to know, at LDAC, the biggest thing that en route rally points were good for is so that my whole team knew how far into the mission we were. Because when you're moving through dense bush, man, sometimes if you're not keeping track of your own pace, you don't know where you're at. But if you see somebody like, hey, rally point, you're like, well, that's the second rally point, and the second rally point was 100 meters from the alpha. Okay, we're 100 meters in. We've got 200 meters to go, 300 meters to go. You know, it kind of helps you as a team member to know and follow along with the battle plan. It's a tool that you can use as a squad leader, lieutenant, to manipulate the battle space, to maintain control of it. Because in the regular army, you might have a dump. Well, I mean, you guys aren't going into the combat arms or infantry or anything, but privates are dumb. I was a private. Sometimes they get lost. Sometimes they decide to go off and do a class 1 download and, you know, water the bushes for a moment, and then they come back because they think that everybody's moving slow, so they come back and then they're lost and, oh, well, I know where the last en route rally point was, so I'm going to go hang out. Now I'm sitting there laying in the prone, part of the problem. The squad leader's up here in the ORP, accountability, hey, we're missing one. Jenkins, Abenes, battle buddy, back to those rally points. Hit every single one of them and see if you can pick up Private Eskelson. He's lost again. You move back, you find me, I'm down there playing, you know, flowers or something. You're like, man, get up here. It's a tool. All of these things are tools that you can use if you know what they're for, if you know how to use them and how to implement them, to manipulate the basic battle drill, which is squad attack for this one. All right, so that's rally points. People get confused on those. Just RP is release point. ERP is an en route rally point. Two different things. They look very much alike. They are very different. LD and LDA are the same. They look very much alike. They're very different. Okay, so everybody stand up. Get on either side of the table. I'm going to take you through a battle drill, squad attack, and then I'm going to pick one of you. Time allowing, we'll have another person to go through it as well. So for the purposes of this exercise, the objective is 300 meters from the alpha. So what I am going to do is walk you through the basic battle drill. We're recording this one, so hold your questions until the end. We're going to be moving 50 meters, and I'll take a SILS halt. Stop, look, listen, smell, evaluate. Move an additional 50 meters and set an en route rally point. We'll move another 50 meters and set our secondary en route rally point. We're 150 meters out, so I'll move another 50 meters and establish the ORP. From the ORP, I will move up to a suitable location, MET-TC dependent, where I want my release point. Between the objective and the ORP, at a suitable location where these two individuals can maintain good contact with the objective and moderate contact with the ORP. Then I'm going to conduct my reconnaissance and move out, conduct my recon, nice surveillance of the area. What's in the objective? Do we need to change anything? Then I'll move back, let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Make sure you have eyes on that objective, so when I come back, if anything has changed, you notify me. And I'll move back to the ORP, pick up everybody, move up to the release point. Hey, release point guys, anything change in the ORP? Well, yeah, there was that truck that you told us about that was loaded up with enemy equipment. It drove off as soon as you guys started coming back. Oh, maybe they saw us while we were on our recon. We need to move out fast. So you move up with your release point and set up a good supporting line of fire. On your recon, you identified that there's a hill on this side. I would much rather assault downhill and have to run up the hill to get into position than run real fast downhill and then assault up. So I'll move out and set my team in a good assaulting position. I will signal, and your cadre will go over a class on how to use different kinds of signals to initiate fire and shift fire and that sort of thing. You'll give the signal to open fire. I'll open fire on the objective. You'll give the signal to lift and shift fire. Your support team will then shift their fire away from your assaulting element. You will then prepare yourself to assault through the objective and give the signal for ceasefire. At that point, your assaulting team will assault through the objective. When they have passed the last man of your support team, that is their signal for this element limit of advance. You don't want to overextend your security, so this is a tool that you're using to maintain a good level of security on what you're going to have at your objective. So once they call LOA, 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 which is your limit of advance, this team picks up and assaults through the objective until they hit the last man of the assaulting element. They sound off with LOA, LOA, and then you pull up 360 security around the objective. You set your security. You bring in your specialty teams as needed. You formulate all of your reports as they are needed, and you either send them up there or you send them up on your follow-on location, wherever that may be. It's a very simple battle drill. A couple of moving parts that are important to have, but it's pretty basic. A key point for the objective: you don't have to set your security around the objective. If you've got two EPWs and they died over here because they were trying to get away, and you set your 360 security around over here and they're right here, if either one of them had grenades, you've got more people who are in danger right here. So place your security around the greatest threat. Once that threat is eliminated, you can then move back to the next threat. But you want to maintain control of your battle space, which for a squad leader, Lieutenant Avenez, is just about 12 guys. And you've got this objective, which had 2 to 3 personnel in it. If they're over here, and they're both dead, I'm going to clear one, and then clear the other one, and then search. Because you got to have a clear area before you start searching. Because if the other EPW is not clear, and you begin searching, and he has enough strength to roll over or pop a suicide vest or throw a grenade or just release a spoon on a grenade that's already had the pin pulled, you've got a catastrophic situation there. So, identify the greatest threat. Put security around it, have it the center, so everybody is far enough away that they're safe, but close enough that you as a leader can control them. Eliminate the threat, move on to the next threat. Once that's eliminated, go back to the objective, take a look at what's there, evaluate it as needed, and formulate your reports, send them up to higher, and drive on. And there are many different things that come out in the op order. Sometimes they'll want you to go back to the ORP. Sometimes they'll want you to hold the objective until another squad comes to reinforce you. You're going to move out onto another mission. But there's going to be a follow-on mission. Pay attention to your op order. It's going to tell you what to do. But from LD to objective, that's the battle drill. You're going to have a SILS halt. You're going to have at least one en route rally point. You're going to establish an ORP. You're going to move out and set a release point. You're going to conduct your reconnaissance. You're going to come back to that release point. You're going to go grab everybody at the ORP. If your mission needs to be changed, you're going to bring up, grab your release point people, let them know what the changes are, move out, support line of fire, assaulting line, assault through the objective, 360 security, evaluate, identify threats, eliminate threats, send out the reports, continue on. Easy. Does anybody have any questions? Every single thing here, all of these little places are they're tools that you can use to manipulate your mission. There are going to be distractors. There are going to be things that get in the way. Your evaluators might throw variables at you. Don't think of it like that. Think of it like this. Lieutenant, I have a mission for you. 300 meters from your position on an azimuth of 281 degrees is an enemy encamped position. They've got some kind of communications equipment there where they're able to hear what we're doing on our secure net. There's 2 to 3 of them, and they're using AK-47s. I want you to go out, kill them, recover whatever equipment they have, and report to me. That's your mission. How are you going to do it?
You tell me right now?
Yeah, think of it like that. Think of it as I'm a lieutenant and I've got a mission to accomplish. It's not that I'm your evaluator and I'm standing here and I want to check off things as they go. You've got a mission that you need to accomplish. You need to be swift, you need to be efficient, and you need to be deadly.
Okay.
First squad attack. You don't need to be deadly on a recon unless things go badly. So don't set it up.
No.
Walk me through it.
Alright.
Your objective is down here. These are your tools. Here's your objective. Nothing has to happen the way that I said that it has to happen except for those few things. You gotta have an ORP. You gotta have a SIL salt. You gotta have at least one ERP. But where you put those things and how you use those things and how you conduct your reconnaissance, all that stuff, that's on you, Lieutenant. She doesn't want to die, and he doesn't want to die. But while they're sitting there, they're afraid because they're being told, you guys are going to go out and engage the enemy. So you have to be confident. How are you going to mitigate that risk using the tools that you have?
Alright, so Alpha team will be to my front, Bravo team will be to my rear, and I'll be oriented to the center so I can have command and control.
You don't need to worry about that. We're just going with the battle drill. So just walk us through. Make sure you use the card. That's going to be your place. Because sometimes privates are stupid. Sometimes cadets are. Most of the time, cadets are stupid.
Okay.
So just walk the card up to a location, and then tell us what you're doing at that location.
So, me and my squad will travel 50 meters. At our first 50 meters, we'll stop and conduct a SEAL's halt, which is a stop, look, listen, and smell.
Okay, why are you doing it at 50 meters?
50.
Let's say we're at TA-14, and your assembly area is that big open field, and you're headed right into that dense bush where we usually do our pace count and stuff like that.
Okay.
Why are you doing a SILS halt at 50 meters there?
Well, I thought it was a good distance, enough from the LD for maybe the environment to change a little bit and to get like acclimated to the area.
I'll buy it.
Our squad will travel an additional 50 meters where the hand and arm signal will be conducted to set up a release point, or en route rally point.
There you go.
En route rally point. We will then travel another 50 meters to another rally point. So far we've covered 150 meters. We'll do an additional 50 where I'll set up an ORP and pull 360-degree security. From there, I will set up a release. Well, from there we have 360 security. Me and a couple other people will be
Don't worry about that whole part. You don't
No?
need to brief that.
Okay.
Just what's the next step?
From there, halfway between the objective and the ORP, I'll set up a release point.
Why halfway? Keeping in mind that we're at TA-14 and we're in some dense vegetation.
Okay.
Why halfway?
Well, I
Because
mean,
that
you
puts
don't
them,
have to be
how close to
halfway.
the objective are they if they're halfway?
Well, let's see. This is 200, so we're about 50 meters from the objective.
Can you throw a rock 50 meters? Maybe not, but you might be able a little close.
Okay.
I could throw a rock 50 meters.
Okay. So,
Is 50 meters pretty close?
yeah, I mean, it's
If
not
they've got
bad.
AK-47s, do you want your release point people 50 meters from them?
No.
What do
Well,
you?
this is
What do you?
NTC dependent. First,
Right,
I'm not
so,
sure like, what the area looks
If that's
like.
the tool that you want to use there,
Mhm.
where do you want to put it? What do you want them to accomplish?
My release point? Well, that's right.
How are you
Okay.
using them? Don't just stick them somewhere.
Okay.
How are you going to use
The
them?
release point will be used to keep eyes on the the ORP and then eyes on the objective at the same time. So if anything weird happens, they can let me know after I conduct my recon.
So question, from your map recon,
Okay.
can you definitively say where you want that release point to be before you get out there?
No. Well, I don't think so. No, unless I.
Neither do I.
Okay.
I'm with you on that. When it's time
Mhm.
to set a release point, what do you think you're going to want to do?
Cover and concealment. I want them to be covered so they can't be seen, but still, I'd be able to know exactly where they're at because I'm placing them there.
So you're going to evaluate the terrain once you get there.
Mhm.
All right, I'm buying.
From the release point, I'll have a gauntlet set, and then we'll travel up, get eyes and ears on the objective, and then collect any information that's necessary for the mission. and then I'll come back to release point, let them know I'm going back to the ORP to pick up the rest of the squad. From there, the squad will travel up to the release point, we will pick up the release point, and then I will have my Alpha team be my support and my Bravo team be my assault. I will be with Bravo team.
Why? Why are you going to be with Bravo team?
Because it's the moving element. So I figure, since I'm squad leader, I should always travel with the moving element.
Okay, so what does that enable you to do if you're moving with your assaulting element? What does that enable you to do?
Command and control.
Of?
That work. The assaulting element. I guess.
What are the benefits to staying with the support team?
I don't really see none because they're laid out. I already know exactly where they're laid out. But with Bravo team, or well, with the assault team, things can kind of change, I guess, because maybe I don't really want them to assault there. Or maybe when the support team lays fire, the enemy might do something awkward.
I like where you're going.
Okay.
I like your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep it.
Okay.
That's the kind of thinking you have to be at. That's the level you need to be when you're starting.
Mm-hmm.
Setting an ORP, there are a few different doctrinal ways to do that. It's kind of complicated. Some of them are more efficient than others. I've got a couple ways that I like to do it. I got one that's really good. It's kind of complicated. Conducting a reconnaissance on the objective, there are a couple ways to do that. Some are better than others. Some that are worse than others can only be used given a certain situation because of the aspects of MEDTC. There are a lot of little things that you need to know how to do in order to accomplish your mission. These things are tools. We need to get away from the whole, I'm going to go and set a SOS halt at 50 meters out, and then another 50 meters, I'm going to have a rally point, and then I'm going to have another rally point out. You got to get away from that. I'm looking at my map. I'm coming up with a plan. Terrain's kind of open. You don't have to have two. This doesn't have to be 100 meters away. It has to be at least 100 meters. Hey, you know what? After the SEALs halt and that en route rally point, I'm going to put my ORP another 50 meters beyond that, so we're 150 meters out and 150 meters out from the objective. I'm going to conduct my reconnaissance from there. My release point, we're going to move up and I'm going to evaluate that as needed, but I'm going to want them to be a little far away because the intelligence tells me that there are enemy snipers in the area, or that the enemies are operating with reinforcements on technicals, which is a truck that's got a 50 cal mounted, or it can be, you know, just some kind of heavy machine gun mounted on the back of it. If that's the case, you're looking at a much greater range of attack for the enemy. Better gear for them to see. So maybe I want my release point a little further back. Maybe I want my ORP with all my Joes a little bit further back, so I can go out and be sneaky. Is it going to take you time? Yes. But if you understand how to best use these tools, how to implement them, that's going to save you because you're going to come up with an effective plan much swifter. And then you're going to be able to go and execute. And it's going to save you time. I had 30 minutes to do my recon. My mission for my squad attack when I was at LDAC was supposed to be a mass casualty. I was supposed to lose half my squad. But because of how I executed it, I never afforded them the opportunity to do that. Because I adjusted my line of attack away from a gigantic linear danger area. I set my support line beside them, so they thought it was assault, and then I assaulted from the rear. They had an MG pointed towards my Alpha. I had enough time on my recon to identify that because my planning went so smooth. So, know how to use your tools, know how to use your pieces. Lieutenant Jenkins, there's an objective that I want you to take. It's 500 meters from the Alpha, where you're currently located, on an azimuth of 281 degrees. 500 meters out, there's an enemy command post. They're relaying information on our movements to their higher unit. There's 2 to 3 of them. They have AK-47s, and they might have a heavy weapon system with them. Lieutenant Jenkins, I want you to eliminate that threat and report back to me on the communications equipment that they're using to spy on us.
Alright, I'll have the Alpha and Bravo team. I'll travel 100 meters, do oscilloscope, stop, look, listen, smell.
All right, we're still at TA 14. So just think of that. Have you been out to TA 14? TA 26? You been out to any of the training areas?
I don't know which one.
Okay, don't worry about it then. Just picture one of them, and that's where you're at.
Okay. I'll travel another 100 meters. And we're at rally point, so we're 200 meters out. Travel another 50 meters.
Why only 50 meters?
I want my objective rally point further back from the objective.
Why?
We have heavy machine guns,
I like how you're thinking.
so we're 250. I'll travel another 100 meters, so we're 350. I have my ORP, set up security. I will put a release point 25 meters out.
Why
And-
25 meters out?
Have them be able to stay moderately close to the ORP while obtaining the objective without being in danger.
Okay, let's say that 25 meters out, you're still going uphill, and they can't see the objective.
We'll move another 25 meters, 50. Correct.
At what point would you feel that they're in a good location?
Once they attain the high ground, because they're on the high ground.
Well, they may not ever have high ground. So if there's no high ground to be had, if you're consistently moving uphill, and the objective has the high ground, at what point do you feel that your release point is in a good location for you, Lieutenant?
Well, they'll be able to attain communication with me and the ORP.
All right, that's fair. I like how you're thinking. You may not have communication with them, but you at least want them to be able to have eyes on the objective and eyes on the ORP. If they can only have eyes on one of them because of the terrain, which one would you rather have them eyes on?
The objective.
Why?
Things may change after the leader's recon, and that's important for
That's
you to
exactly
know.
right. So don't ask me, tell me. Don't objective? Objective. You know why. Don't ask. Be confident. It's your plan. It's your mission. And so far, you're succeeding. What's next?
We will conduct the recon and surveillance, go out and up, gather important data, come back, let them know, go to the ORP, gather my men, come back, collect the release point. I will maneuver my support right here. I will flank them from the rear, from the assault. We will open fire on them. Assault will shift fire, lift fire. Assault goes through, LOA. Support goes through, 360, EPW.
Okay. Why did you choose to, I mean, I'm confident you got that whole part, so good job, index. Why did you choose to assault them from the rear?
Heavy machine gun facing the supporting element.
Okay, maybe they were facing it. They probably were, because in most cases, the enemy is set up like that. But if you didn't know which way the machine gun was facing, if on your reconnaissance you couldn't get close enough to really identify was that weapon system locked in a specific direction, or whether it was just kind of free floating, what would be your method? What would be your thinking to using that method of flanking from the rear? Or would you change it?
Just the element of surprise.
All right, I'll give you something else to think about. This is where I thought you were going with that. It's easier to push hard at the beginning, so when you're moving uphill, flanking downhill from behind, it's a little easier. You got the high ground, you're moving down, because that violence of action needs swiftness. And if you're driving uphill, that sucks. But I like where you're going. I like where you're thinking. All right. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? Just keep in mind that that these things are there. They're tools for you to use. your last man LOA stuff, that's important. You need to brief that kind of stuff to your team. You need to know that kind of stuff because your squad is spread out, and then it's spread out. So you got spread out, broken up, different locations. If you're always moving with those kinds of checks and balances, you're going to be okay. Because when that guy is sitting there in the prone and he sees you, he knows he's the last man in the squad because he was briefed, okay, they're going to flank from the right. I'm the furthest left. So I know that it's my job to say last man. You can identify him when you're briefing if you feel more comfortable with that. And then he knows and he's right there and you can run through that in rehearsals. You're walking through and he says it, last man. So he's waiting for that and he can see you barely. Because in the bush, it is never like when we do rehearsals. So maybe all he sees is one person. Maybe he just sees you because you're tall. So you're walking. Okay, there. Okay, all right. There she goes. And last man. Now your assaulting element is like, okay, this is the limit of our advance. We can't push this too far because we don't want to overextend our security. We know what we can control, and that is pretty much within the limits of your team, spread out to about 5, maybe 10 meters between team members in the kind of area where we train. So given the dense vegetation, sometimes we have a little bit more open areas, there's still a lot of trees, you might be able to push it to 10 meters between the team members, but that's going to give you a good indicator. Last man, boom, limit of advance, LOA, LOA, LOA. They pick up, they move through. Hey, last man, all right, cool, LOA, LOA, LOA. You shouldn't have to even tell your team leaders, they should just know. You're going to do it anyway because you're going to maintain the command and control because you want your men to feel like you're in control still, and you're okay. You're not leaning on anybody, you're the one in charge. Because you're the lieutenant, you're going to get them home safe. So then, team leaders, 360 security, they form it up, and it's real easy. Hey, here's the threat. Team leaders, I want the security centered around this point. Team leaders are like, all right, we got to move like 20 meters for that to happen. They'll get it done. As long as you have prepared them sufficiently with a good plan beforehand. And nothing precludes you from doing that, especially if you can brief well. Then you're not going to run over your 1/3 time. That's going to allow you time in that 2/3 to hit some of those important things that need to happen so that you can manipulate your battle space and accomplish the mission. We need to start thinking like that because everybody that I saw failed at LDAC. Failed because they were going through it like it was a checklist instead of like, okay, these are the tools that I have. This is my toolkit right here. All right. This is how I want it to happen. 500 meters, heavy weapon system. Well, I got to have a SILS halt in here because I was looking at the map and I know we're going uphill and we've been out in this flat area for a while. Okay, so SILS, 100 meters out. That's a good area. Another 100 meters, en route rally point. I want my ORP 200 meters off, so we'll do another rally point 100 meters, and then at 300 meters, that's where I'll set my ORP. As long as you've got a plan, and that's what you know, and you're like, this is why we're doing it. Your men and women are going to pick up on that. Your soldiers are going to key into that. And it doesn't have to just be in the battle drills. You know, that's with anything, any kind of training, any kind of planning, any kind of execution. As long as they pick up that, hey, this is why I'm doing it, and you know it. Not just so that you can tell your evaluator or someone, oh, this is why I'm doing it. I have prepared my answer for you. The why is this. No, that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because the thing that you want to do is go out, execute, and make sure that she gets home. Make sure that he gets home. If we're all green and the mission's accomplished and we're all back, hey man, that was a good mission day, right? Xbox time. Woo! Done. That's what you want. So that's what you're fighting for. You want to know your tools, know how to use them so that you can execute efficiently, swiftly, and deadly. So, ma'am, I need you, Lieutenant King, I need you to take out an enemy position. There's a machine gun nest out there. They're 300 meters at 281 degrees from your Alpha Alpha. There's 2 guys in there. One of them's got an AK-47, and the other one's sitting on a heavy machine gun. I want you to take your squad, and I want you to take them out. If they've got intelligence and guidance from their higher units out there, awesome. Pick that intel up and report it up. But the main concern there is they got a heavy weapon system and they're harassing our units. I want you to take them out. Lieutenant, here's your team. How are you going to do it?